The house on Pine Ridge Road always smelled faintly of cinnamon and pine, even in July. I used to joke with my late husband, Jack, that the scent would outlive both of us someday. Even now, all these years later, on Christmas Eve of 2024, the smell clung to the walls like memory, sweet, gentle, stubborn. I'm Eleanor Thompson, 67 years old, born and raised in Willow Creek, Minnesota. And if you walked into my house right now, you'd swear you'd step straight into a Christmas card. Lights, candles, pies cooling on the counter, stockings arranged just so. Not because anyone asked me to do it. Not because anyone was coming. They were supposed to, of course. But supposed to doesn't mean much these days. I set the table for 6 anyway. A stubborn habit. Jack's chair stayed empty now. Has been for 6 years. But I always kept it there. Tradition is a strange kind of hope. I waited until 9:30 before letting myself believe the driveway would stay white and untouched. The snow fell in thick flakes, soft as feathers, quiet as regret, covering everything that should have carried tire tracks or boot prints. At 10 the phone rang once. I ran so fast my hips screamed in protest. It was Sarah, my oldest. Her voice cracked through static and guilt. Mom, I'm so sorry. Flights got canceled. The kids are sick. Liam has to work Christmas morning. We'll make it up at Easter. I promise. Promises. I told her it was okay. Told her not to worry. Told her to give the kids a kiss for me. Then I hung up and stood in silence while the house breathed around me. Little pops, cracks, sighs from settling wood. It used to sound alive. Tonight it sounded tired. I didn't cry loudly. Widows learn to cry quietly, efficiently. You learn to be your own comfort. I sat in Jack's recliner, turned off the lights except the tree, and let myself feel the weight of 40 years of Christmases, real ones. Ones with noise and laughter and kids running around in socks that kept slipping off their heels. I stared at the ornaments, each one its own memory. Sarah's clay star. Michael's hockey skate. Emily's hand-painted glass ball. Emily, my youngest. My wild one. She moved to Portland 5 years ago, chasing art and freedom. She used to call every Sunday. Then every month. Then sometimes. Michael, my middle child, lived in Indianapolis. Always working, always commuting, always saying things like, Mom, we'll come next year. Promise. He had 2 girls I barely knew except through pixelated screens. And Sarah, well, she was a good kid once. But motherhood, a demanding job, a husband who traveled. Life stretched her thin like worn elastic. People think heartbreak is dramatic. But a mother's heartbreak is quiet. Methodical. The kind you feel when you buy cereal in 3 flavors because your kids used to all want something different. Even though no one's eaten breakfast here in years. The kind you feel when you keep the sheets washed on beds no one sleeps in. The kind you feel when you still leave porch light on for kids who moved away and never looked back. Jack died shoveling snow because he insisted no one else could do it right. He collapsed on the front walk in 2018. And suddenly the world went silent except for sirens and strangers. The kids came home and stayed for 3 weeks. They painted my kitchen, planted tulips, promised everything was going to be different. But grief fades. Promises fade. Life moves without asking permission. After that first year the kids visited less. Then hardly at all. The pandemic sealed it. Borders closed, not just country borders. Borders of habit. Borders of distance. Borders of will visit soon stretched until soon didn't exist anymore. I broke my hip in January 2023 slipping on ice at the post office. 3 kids. 8 grandkids. Not a single one came. Too busy. Too far. Too complicated. Excuses dressed as reasons. People say kindness is enough. But kindness isn't family. Kindness goes home at night. I told myself I understood. Mothers tell themselves lies the way we once told kids that Santa came down the chimney. Thawing the turkey for Thanksgiving. Setting the table for Christmas. Sending birthday cards with $20 bills. Watching recital videos on a glitchy iPad. Pretending I wasn't lonely. And then, 3 weeks ago, everything changed. Completely. Unexpectedly. Like a door opening after years of silence. It started with a text from Emily at 2:14 a.m. Mom, are you awake? I always am. Sleep for mothers becomes a shallow thing, filled with waiting. She wrote again. I had a dream you were gone and I never came home. I can't breathe. An hour later. I'm booking a flight. I don't care about deadlines. Emily arrived 2 days later, paint under her fingernails, eyeliner smeared, hair dyed a color she called storm cloud. She hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. We talked until sunrise. Real talking. Crying. Laughing. Remembering. Emily stayed a week. Repainted the porch swing. Cooked pancakes shaped like stars. Made the house feel alive. On her last night she unwrapped a canvas. A portrait of all 5 of us on the porch swing. Jack smiling, the kids squished between us, everyone laughing at something silly. The colors were so vivid it felt like touching memory. Before she left, Emily called her siblings. On speaker. Direct. Blunt. We broke her. And we're going to fix it. Something in her voice must have cracked open whatever walls they built, because for the first time in years, they all promised to come home for Christmas. Felt too good to believe. So I didn't. Not entirely. But I thawed the turkey anyway. Hung new stockings. Baked pies. Lit candles. And tonight, Christmas Eve, here I am. Waiting. It was nearly 11 when headlamps broke through the curtain of snow. A vehicle turned into my driveway. My heart jumped so hard my breath caught. I hurried to the window. Not Sarah. Not Michael. Not a rental van. Not a minivan full of kids. A beat-up silver Honda, familiar but wrong. Emily. Only Emily. She stepped out into the snow, shoulders hunched, clutching something close to her chest. I opened the door before she could knock. She was crying. Mom, she whispered. I lied. They're not coming tomorrow. My stomach dropped. What? Why? She broke down completely. Mom. Something's wrong with Michael. Really wrong. He begged us not to tell you. But I couldn't hold it in anymore. The room seemed to tilt. I felt the cold crawl up my spine. What do you mean wrong? Emily swallowed hard. He's broke, Mom. Really broke. And drowning in it. I stared at her. Broke? My son? The engineer? The man with the new SUV last Christmas? The man who posted photos of fancy brunches and beachfront errands and expensive trips? Emily wiped her face. All fake. All debt. Credit cards. Loans. He lost his job 2 years ago. He's been delivering packages at night. The girls think he still works for the firm. I sat down slowly, gripping the table. My hands shook. Emily continued. He's 3 months behind on rent. They're close to eviction. He hid it from everyone. Even Sarah. Even me. Why wouldn't he tell me? I whispered. Because he was ashamed. Because he thought you'd feel guilty. Because, Emily hesitated. Because he said he didn't want to be another weight on your shoulders after Dad. That hit harder than anything else. Emily grabbed my hand. Mom. He didn't come home all these years because he couldn't afford the flights. Couldn't afford Christmas gifts. Couldn't afford to look you in the eye. The shame. The distance. The silence. It all suddenly made sense. I wasn't forgotten. I wasn't unloved. I wasn't abandoned. My son had been drowning. Emily squeezed my fingers. He wants to come, Mom. He does. But he said he'd rather die than walk through this door with empty pockets. A sob tore from my chest. Raw, unexpected, shaking. Emily hugged me tight. It's not that he didn't care, Mom. It's that he cared too much. I cried into her shoulder. He is my son, I whispered. He never needed money to walk through this door. Emily kissed the top of my head. Then tell him. At 12:04 a.m., I dialed Michael's number. He answered on the second ring. His voice cracked. Mom. Michael. Silence. A long, painful silence. Then he whispered. I'm sorry. I closed my eyes, steadying my heartbeat. Why didn't you come home, baby? I can't, he said. I don't have anything to bring. I don't have anything to offer. Michael. My voice trembled. I don't need gifts. I don't need money. I need my son. His breath hitched. Mom. I lost everything. I failed my wife. My kids. You. Dad would. Your father would love you. I snapped, louder than intended. Jack would shake you by the shoulders and say the same thing I'm about to say. Your worth is not your wallet. He broke down then, truly broke down. Sobs. Gasps. Years of pressure finally snapping. Mom. I was so scared to tell you. I pressed the phone against my heart. Come home, Michael. Just come home. He cried harder. I can't afford the gas. I can't even. I will send you money right now. And that's not charity. That's a mother helping her child. He tried to argue. I shut it down. You get in your car, I said. You put those girls in the back seat. You drive toward the only home you've ever had. I'll keep the porch light on until you get here. He exhaled a long broken breath. Okay, Mom. Okay. Emily stayed beside me all night. We wrapped presents, just small things I bought at the corner store. We reheated the pies. We made another bed. We turned on every light in the house because I couldn't bear the dark. At 3 a.m. Sarah called. Emily had told her everything. She cried into the phone. I didn't know, Mom. I didn't know he was struggling. God, I feel like such a terrible sister. You're not, I said softly. Broken families aren't made by villains. They're made by silence. Sarah and her kids packed up the minivan. They hit the road before dawn. One by one, the people I thought had forgotten me started moving toward me again. Not out of obligation, not out of guilt, but out of love that had been buried under busyness, pride, shame, fear. The sun rose slow and pink behind the pines, and for the first time in years I didn't feel tired. I felt awake. Awake as spring thaw. Awake as hope. At 8:41 a.m., Sarah's van pulled into the driveway. The kids burst out with suitcases and drawings and sticky fingers. Sarah ran into my arms and sobbed like she hadn't cried since she was 12. I'm so sorry, Mom. I should have come sooner. You're here now, I whispered. At 10:03 a.m., Emily brought in the new painting she'd made on the plane. A glowing portrait of my house from the road, warm lights shining through the snow. At 11:26 a.m., a dusty silver car crawled up the driveway. Michael. He stepped out slowly, like a man walking into his own memories. His daughters ran past him into my arms. He approached me last. Eyes red. Shoulders shaking. Breath white in the cold air. Mom, he managed. I touched his cheek, like when he was a boy and cried after scraping his knee. Oh, Michael, I whispered. You should never have carried this alone. He fell into my arms like a collapsing building. And just like that, my broken family walked back into the house on Pine Ridge Road. We cooked together. We laughed. We cried. The house filled with noise again, real noise. Kids running, cousins yelling, siblings arguing over pie. And that night, after the kids had fallen asleep on couches and carpets, the three of them sat across from me at the dining table. Sarah spoke first. Mom, we forgot where home was. Emily nodded. I forgot how much you gave us. Michael swallowed hard. I forgot I didn't have to be perfect to be loved. I reached across the table and took all three of their hands. You never had to earn my love, I said. You only had to show up. And they finally had. Michael stayed up late with me after everyone else went to bed. He explained everything. The job loss, the medical bills, the loans he took to keep up appearances, the shame that ate at him every day. Mom, I wasn't avoiding you because I didn't care. I was avoiding you because I didn't want you to think I'd failed. I held his hand. You didn't fail. You stumbled. That's what life is. He cried softly. I wish Dad were here. I smiled through tears. He is. You came home, didn't you? That's all he ever wanted. It's late now. The tree is lit. The stockings are full. Every room in the house is filled with sleeping family. I sit in Jack's recliner, listening to the house breathe. Not with loneliness this time, but with life. With laughter tucked into the walls. With second chances. With forgiveness. Some stories end with an empty driveway and untouched pie. But not this one. My family came home. Not perfect. Not wealthy. Not polished. But honest. Open. Hurting. Healing. And as I sit here in this old chair, with cinnamon and pine filling the air, I know one thing for sure. This is the Christmas I'll remember until my last breath. The Christmas my children found their way home again. The Christmas the house on Pine Ridge Road woke up. The Christmas I was no longer afraid of tomorrow.